Hi, welcome to Habits for Humans, the podcast that explores what makes people tick and how to program this brain of ours through habits. We're going to explore why sometimes in some areas of our lives we can really rock it, and at other times and in other areas of our lives we can really struggle. If we want to be healthy and happy, what's the secret to programming this brain of ours to maximize our potential? I am your host, Pamela Henrie, and I'm excited today to have our guest, Jennifer Richter, on. She is an amazing artist, and she's going to share some of her tips and tricks of how she balances her work and family and happiness. But first, a word from some of our sponsors. We have several gifts that we will be giving away at the end, so make sure you stay tuned to the end if you like free stuff. This episode of Habits for Humans is brought to you by Card Salad. Card Salad's Eat Well program is kind of like HelloFresh meets Oprah. Get a week of free meal planning done for you at the end of this podcast. And it's brought to you by The Success Choice, which is a company that provides tools to help you filter through the noise of life and establish positive routines to find balance, order, and joy in the journey. So stay tuned for a special discount. Now, I'm excited to introduce our guest, Jennifer Richter. She is a practicing artist, a mother of 3, and the wife of an entrepreneur. Soon to be an empty nester, she is poised to grow as a professional artist. She recently launched her website and is ready to sell original prints and art merchandise on a larger scale. She's excited to see what unfolds in this next chapter of her life. Welcome, Jennifer. So excited to have you here. We always start with one tip that you might have for our listeners that helps you to balance the stresses of daily life. Is there anything you do regularly that helps you balance the stress of life?
Oh, yes, actually there is. And in a word, it's mindfulness. So sometimes when I feel flustered or when I just feel overwhelmed, taking some nice, deep cleansing breaths. Marines do box breathing. And so I kind of do that kind of same thing where I just in through my nose for about 7, 8 counts and then out through my mouth, same amount of time. And it actually lowers my heart rate and it helps me think more logically and feel grounded. And then I also like to think about an affirmation, just a positive statement, which is my life is a perfect example of synchronicity and flow, which I feel the opposite sometimes, but that helps me to kind of zoom out and get the bigger perspective and look for the blessings, look for how things are flowing and coming together, even though like right in the moment, I feel like they're falling apart. Usually hindsight's 2020. So usually later on, I can see how even though this opportunity closed, something opened up that was even better. So I really try to practice calming my mind and looking for the good.
That's great. Yeah, that sounds very grounding, just the breathing and then reminding yourself of that affirmation just kind of helps you. I feel like that's kind of taking back control of the situation when you're feeling out of control. So that's awesome. That's great advice. So you are an amazing artist. You do, so many different kinds of things. I always love seeing the different mediums you're using, the different things you're experimenting with, and just how much you have done with your art. So tell me how you got started doing in this field.
Okay, I would love to. So here's a little picture that I did, a piece of art that I did when I was 3 years old. And my mother, I am fortunate to have an art mom. Some people have soccer moms, and I had an art mom. She encouraged me, but I started out with scribbles. And I just took some classes in high school, and then I started taking classes at the collegiate level. And then as a young mom, I I just started being a mom, right? So I actually set aside my art and just dove into being a mom. That really consumed my waking hours and my energy. But there did come a time when I started feeling depleted and I needed something. And I was really fortunate to have a good friend. Her name is Lindsay Joyce Smith, and she was a young mom too. And she wrote a little memoir. And most people write memoirs at the end of their life. Not Lindsay. She wrote a memoir about her first few chapters. And it was exactly what I needed. There was a quote in her book that gave me permission to remember who I was and to make time for my art. And the quote is from M. Russell Ballard, and he was talking to women who had young children, and he said, find some time for yourself to cultivate your gifts and interests. Pick one or two things that you would like to learn or do that will enrich your life and make time for them. If you are not setting aside a little time for what replenishes you, you will have less and less to give to others, even to your children. Turn to the Lord in faith and you will know what to do and how to do it. And so
I love
it
that.
was so awesome. It was the perfect timing. Talk about synchronicity and flow. It was at a time when I felt like I was kind of drowning, and the laundry never ceases, the et cetera, et cetera. And like I was going to bed and there's still more things I could be doing. So in the back of this book, I wrote out just kind of a journaling, like, gosh, what are my things? And it took me a minute to remember that art is one of those things for me. And so I'm like, okay, well, what's my plan? What do I want to do with that? And I wrote down a bunch of ideas. And so that was in my mind when I went out to lunch with my family, Five Guys here in Bountiful. And right next door to Five Guys was this gorgeous art gallery called the Repartee Art Gallery. On the door, there was a sign that said art lessons for children and adults. And I was so excited. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. I need to sign my kids up for that. And then a little thought in my head was like, oh, did you remember? You just made this wish and this dream for yourself to go back to art. Why don't you take the class? And then I heard myself say, I can't do that. That would be selfish. Like I honestly believed that was selfish. And then the voice in my head said, no, that is not selfish. That is essential and that is important. And so I said, well, okay. It was kind of a compromise in my brain. Maybe I'll have my daughter take the class and I'll ask if she can be, and I can do it with her. And the teacher was gracious and she says, well, normally the adult class is just for adults, but she let my daughter come and be there with me. And she was teaching about Monet. And this is my painting that I did in that class. This is a study of the water lilies. And it was wonderful. So Sherilyn Fisher was my teacher, and because the materials weren't hugely expensive, I just paid a certain fee and she had everything there. We sat in the middle of this gorgeous gallery surrounded by all these amazing professional artists, and she had classical music playing in the background. I think I might tear up because it was just so amazing for me. She let me pick a reference. She had like 10 or 12 references, and I picked that image, worked on it for weeks. I would go there once a week for 2 hours and sit amongst other practicing artists and indulging, it felt like, just soaking in the creative process and doing the work. And at the end of that piece, when I was finished with it, I looked at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's pretty good. And the feeling that I felt was delight.
So
I
how
had
did this spill over in, so just to interrupt you. So taking this time, so was this like how many weeks was this course? Was it just a one day thing or was it?
no, it was multiple weeks. It probably took me about 10 or 12 weeks. Yeah.
So doing this thing for yourself for a couple of hours, whatever, once a week or whatever it was, how did that spill over into the rest of your life? Did did that help um, give you more energy? How did that spill over into your regular everyday laundry and all that family and everything that you were doing?
Right. So what it did is it kind of animated my spirit. I was feeling depressed before and feeling frustrated and kind of stuck in some places, but doing this made me excited to be alive. Gave me something to look forward to. And even though it took time to be there at the studio, now I was looking for ways to be more efficient with the things in the house so that I would have time to do that. And then I realized that I had time for both. It was such a revelation.
And I bet you showed up in a different energy level with your family and all that you were doing. I think that this is something that women often in particular sometimes struggle with, is giving themselves permission to do something for themselves, because like you said, you feel guilty. There's always more laundry to do, always something that needs to be cleaned. There's just, you're never quite done sometimes in that when you have a family. So it's difficult to give yourself that permission. But what you don't realize is that, that little bit of time that you're spending for yourself does animate your spirit. It does fill you with more energy. You show up in a happier space. And like you said, you found ways to be more efficient at home to make time for this, because really things will fill up the space that we have. And if we have less space, we figure out a way usually to fit in the things that are important for us. So I applaud you in doing that and taking that leap of faith for yourself to do something, even though you brought your daughter along to, bridge that little bit of feeling guilty. Um, it's, you know, it's not a guilty, and it's one thing if you just completely neglect your responsibilities. You're not neglecting your responsibilities, you're just doing a small thing that is giving you more energy. So awesome. So go ahead and continue with your story.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly right. So I discovered that the work of being an artist was challenging. Like there were so many skills that I didn't have yet, but that was okay. Like that was stimulating and interesting to my brain, So I was learning something new, and I had the most amazing, encouraging teacher. So finding a mentor was really key in Sherilyn. And I found that it was rejuvenating. Like you said, like I was more animated. And then when I was home cleaning toilets, doing errands, I was fine with that. Like that's important work. If that stuff stops, families do not function well. And so it helped me have more joy in my essential work as a mother and a wife. And then I found that completing these paintings and sculptures and things like that, so rewarding. Um, so as I sat in that repartee art gallery, my next goal was to have some piece of art in the gallery. And it turned out that next Christmas, they were going to do a Christmas art show. And so I challenged myself to do a little 4-inch by 4-inch piece of some Christmas ornaments, and it got into that show. And that small win gave me some encouragement. And then the next thought I had was, I would really love to have enough pieces of art and to have it good enough that I could have a one-man art show. And so my logic brain was thinking, well, then you better get busy and do lots of paintings because you're going to need a body of work. But I'm pretty ambitious. And when I set my mind to something, I like to just go full bore and just go and do it. But I knew that if I did that, I'd be dropping some balls at home. So I just kept doing go to the studio once a week for 2 hours and get a little bit of progress done on one painting. Um, and I did that for 6 years. And then by then I had about 40 paintings, and I was starting to share my artwork, give prints as gifts to friends. I was putting art in a lot of different art shows from the state, the Utah State Fair, starting out there and then going into galleries and taking commissions. So I was doing a lot of different things to get a tough skin, right? Because some of these shows were juried art shows. I'd have one painting that would win a first place award in one show, and then I'd take it to another show that you had to get juried to get in. So that means a judge looks at all of the submissions and they pick the ones they want for the show. That same painting wouldn't even get in to other art shows. And so like, oh my gosh, the process of being a fine artist and a professional artist is emotionally like a roller coaster. And so I kind of have to just say, you know what, this is it. That is just part of the process. I'm going to develop a tough skin. And the only way I can do that is to keep submitting stuff to shows, juried and otherwise. And
So
so
something I just wanted to jump in. So I like the way you set little, well, one, I like that you said it was challenging, because I think we are happier and we grow more when we are pushed out of our comfort zone and we do something that is challenging for us. Not impossible, but challenging. And so, developing a skill and improving yourself and having something to show for it at the end, I think those are super motivating for us and keep us going. And I liked how you set little goals for yourself. You had something to be working towards. I want to get a piece into a show, and I want to start building my my pieces so that in the end I can have a one-man show. So you have this vision for yourself down the road that you have a reason to keep working. And also I like how you didn't want to give up on what your primary responsibility you felt was your important work of being at home, but you didn't also want to give up on this dream and this goal. So you fit in the 2 hours a week, but you were consistent. And I think that we underestimate the value of doing something consistently, even if it is just a little bit. Even if it's only 2 hours a week, the fact you're doing it every single week, that compounds on itself and your skill compounds and you just continue to improve exponentially, I think. Even though you're just doing it 2 hours a week, you are consistent with it. So I just wanted to re-emphasize some things so that people don't miss the value of what you're saying here, because I think setting aside that regular time, even if it's just 2 hours a week, look what you can do. So okay, go ahead, keep going.
oh, exactly. And then those small wins, those small goals of, I think I can carve out 2 hours once a week. At first I felt like I was army crawling, the progress felt so slow. Like, this is never going to happen, but, and I had that dream back when in my 20s, I wanted to be a gallery artist. That was just kind of an unspoken dream I had in my head. So, but I think any progress is progress, and it does build. And there comes a point where there's a critical mass, and then it spills, and then doors open, like they fly open. I remember preparing for that one-man art show. At the time, I was teaching a number of adults art in my home on a kitchen table. And when the gallery approached me and asked me to do a one-man art show, I said, yes, because yes, I was finally realizing that goal after 6 years. And I said,
And Some people would say, oh, that was so lucky that they called you. But like Oprah says, I don't know if I can quote it exactly, but there's no such thing as luck. It's your opportunity meeting your effort, so you're putting this effort in regularly, and then opportunity comes and you're ready for it. And so that's what some people call luck, but that's called being prepared.
Oh, I totally agree. I actually have heard that. I've heard success is when preparation meets opportunity. And I've known that principle my whole life. And so that's also partly why I do that faith practice of be a practicing artist, try new things. I've done bronze work, encaustic, intaglio prints, oils, just all kinds of stuff just to play and have fun, primarily to be rejuvenating myself regularly, but also to keep growing as a person so that when I want to create a piece of art, I have so many more tools I can draw upon. So yeah, totally. So when that opportunity came and I had all these adult students, I wanted them to have a little bit of the limelight. And I said, is there any way my students could be in this show too? And they said yes. And so I had my students come, and then also my mother, who is a professional fine artist, was able to show some pieces in the exhibit. My children and my brother and my grandpa, like it was just like I couldn't even have imagined it being better. Do you know? So like angels have, the universe will conspire to help you when you're on your path. That's a quote that I also live by. It's Paulo Coelho, I think is the name. I absolutely 1000% believe that. If people see that you are doing effort and you are struggling and you have a goal in mind and they can help you, they will rise up, they will help. And it is so cool to see. And people are so good. We really are just so blessed to have so many amazing people around us every day who can help us on our way. And that's been my experience.
And people are drawn to your passion. When you're passionate about something, you're excited about it, and people want to be excited with you. People are drawn to your passion. And I think when somebody is living their dream, people are inspired by that. And it helps to give other people permission to live their dream and to pursue something that they're excited about. And people do get excited for you, and I think it's a great example for other people that want to get to have permission to pursue their passion.
Oh, absolutely. That is actually an important idea, because there is greatness in every one of us. And what are your great things? That's what I would ask the people who are listening today, to be curious and ask yourself, what is the one or the two things? What are those things that replenish you, or that you're curious about and you have no idea even how to do it yet, or even if you're good at it? This would be another podcast, but I had an experience with that. I was at my daughter's masterclass violin recital. So she had gone to a week-long masterclass with a PhD level violinist, but there was also a cellist doing a class at the same time. At the end of that workshop, those two musicians performed for all the students and their parents. It was a free cottage concert. Oh my goodness. Half Pelican is the name of the group. And they played the most amazing pieces together. And my daughter and I left that being so inspired. Before that, I had no idea I even was into that. But when I looked at my daughter and I said, wouldn't it be so cool to learn how to play cello like that? And she says, yeah, it would. and that has rolled into me learning how to play cello these last 3 years. And I found a mentor who's been helping me with that. And watching someone at just really excel and they have already put in the time, and it wasn't even anything I was even aware of, wasn't on my radar. But now I'm a cellist, and I didn't even know, like, I'm 51. I didn't even know that that was going to be in my life story. But it has been such an enriching thing. So yes,
Yeah,
be
trying
brave.
new things. Yeah, I liked how you said to try new things, experience new experiences. My daughter's in her first year of college, and I told her always take for fun class or something in a different area, because you never know. Well, one thing, I think it's replenishing to do something different. So like this semester she's taking a horticulture class and she's loving it and thinking it's so fun. But you never know, that may be an area you want to go in that you never thought that you had a passion for that. And so yeah, so I like that you said, one, think about what replenishes you, and also what you're good at, and then also what are you curious about. um, yeah, those are two great things to ask yourself.
Totally. Yeah. I love Stephen R. Covey. I try to live by his ideas, because I just feel like we have two gifts. We have the gift of time, and we have the gift of choice, like what we can do with that time. And I don't want to waste this gift of time. Like, I don't know how long I'm going to be on this earth. Like, I could die tomorrow, you know? And honestly, when I was a young mom all those years ago, there was a voice in my head that kept saying, now is not the time for you to get into art. You are way too busy. I'm like, and I was thinking, I could wait till I'm retired, empty nester. And then, but I talked to a friend who was an empty nester, and I said, what do you think about that idea? Just wait till I'm an empty nester. Do you have so much more time? And she's like, no, I have 12 grandkids and I go to all of their sports. And I am more busy now than I've ever been before. I'm like, oh. And so I realized that life isn't going to suddenly all of a sudden be not busy at all. So now is the time to focus on something and try something new. No. Life is always going to be busy. And we need something to replenish us now. And so to do that in sustainable ways is what we need inspiration about, which is, I've been prayerful about that. I don't want to drop the glass balls that I'm juggling that will shatter if I drop them. Like my relationship with my husband, that is essential for me. Like, I cannot drop that ball. I have to pay attention to that. My relationship with my children, I want to be their friends when they leave my house. I want to maintain phenomenal family relationships. So that takes time, and that takes being accessible to them. I can't be so driven about art that I'm not even accessible. So all of that informs how I go about this. But I love how art has been able to kind of mold around my essential works, and it just enriches and enlivens and strengthens me.
Yeah, so I like the thought of, don't wait to live your dream. Don't think that, and that is our tendency. It is human nature to think, well, after this project, after this event, after I lose 10 pounds, after I whatever it is, then I'll do this thing. But there's always, like you said, there's always going to be something. There's always going to be something to fill that time. And so being intentional right now and making even a 2 hour a week dedicated time to pursue your dream is that's a step. That is something. And it does give you joy, and it does give you energy to pursue your dream. And that passion is contagious, and you give other people permission to live their dream. And art is beautiful. And I know that you are also, not everyone is going to want to be an artist, but people can be inspired by art. So I know that you also collect art besides being an artist yourself.
Oh, that's true. When I was in college, my university professor, Neil Hadlock, said, "Don't be your best collector." And that stuck in my brain. You make so many pieces of art, it can quickly, fill all your walls. Make art, sell art. But so I'm like, ooh, well, I want to be an actual collector. As I've been learning how to do art and how hard it is, I really, really appreciate art done well. And so I go to a lot of art shows, and I buy art. This is a fun one. This one was done by Nancy Andrick Olson. She's a peer of mine. And it was done at the Bountiful Davis Art Center. They did a little miniature art show, highly collectible, super easy to buy, a $70 piece of art, right? And it encourages the creator to keep on creating. This is good. I went to Utah Art Market in Salt Lake and bought this little gem. It's by Justin Wheatley. He is, or has been, don't know if he still is, but he is an art teacher in high school, but he is going professional now. His pieces are very, very good. I was in Park City at a family reunion, and I took one of my daughters to go look at galleries. And I was thinking, I want to see if I can be in one of these galleries. But then I also found a piece of art that touched me. And I love the craftsmanship. I can tell that this artist actually creates these frames. You can't buy frames like this. This one is Megan Trueblood, and she uses palette knife and brush, and she likes to put a little bit of the foreground color in the back, and then she etches in her name, which is super cool. I was in a workshop at J.K. Richards' house in Highland Hills. One of the fellow students, her name is Tasha Coates, and she made this gorgeous oil painting of a temple down in southern Utah. So I had to buy that. And the last one I wanted to show you is a new artist that I'm aware of. Okay, it goes this way. This is Rebecca Klunt, and what she does is she finds scraps of wood from a cabinet shop, just in the dumpster, and she has a way to cut the pieces, and she assembles. It's like a puzzle, and then she paints on top. Love it. So anyway, I have a bronze piece from J. Kirk Richards that I love. It's just so awesome to be surrounded by art, because it brings me joy, and because I can look at these different techniques and go, how do you do that? And it gets my brain thinking, what do I want to learn next? So it's just really wonderful.
So on your website, you have some of your art pieces, and you have some different ways that some people just want to put a picture on their wall, but I don't know if you have them close by, but you have some other, like on metal and on different ways that you can get that same art piece. Do you have any of those you can show? Just real quick, I just have a couple minutes.
Yeah, you bet. So metal prints are super fun. They are a more modern medium, and they come already to hang. So I have originals that I sell on my website, but I also have, you can buy the prints, and you can make them any size you want. So there's gallery wrapped canvas as an option. Another medium is wood. This is so cool. You can use the peg and have it sit up, or you can hang it on the wall. And then there's, so my favorite thing to do when I go to an art museum is go to the gift shop, because I usually can't afford the $1 million paintings in there, but I can get the coasters or the bag or the cell phone case. And so I have a huge gift shop with calendars and even clothing and greeting cards, So the price range is from $2, and then my originals, thousands of dollars. So anybody can find something that they love and that makes them smile and just have some art to beautify and enrich their lives.
I love that. I think we are, for me, I love flowers, I love color, I love beauty. Those things speak to my soul, make me happy when I walk in the door and see something beautiful. So I think that is just awesome. All right, well, crazily, our time is already up. That went by so fast, but I feel like we learned so much. I loved your story and how we can have permission to pursue an interest. We may or may not turn it into a business, but it's, doing something for yourself that is challenging, that you can create. It doesn't have to be a creative thing, but it can be a creative process where you have some kind of an end product that you get, is exciting and it's fun to say, hey, I did this. And I appreciate your taking the time to be with us today.
Oh, thank you. It was really a privilege.
Awesome. So let me I can move my screen got frozen. Okay, well, we'll see if we can, there we go. So I want to remind you of our giveaway today by our sponsor, Card Salad, to go to habitsforhumans.com and sign up for your free day Eat Real Food Challenge. You get 7 days of recipes, done for you shopping list, and your meal planning is done for you this week. And our second sponsor, the Success Choice. The Success Choice system is the perfect tool to help you incorporate some habits and routines to make your day more productive. Save 15% today at thesuccesschoice.com with the coupon code HabitsForHumans. And Jennifer has a generous offer as well. Her website will also be in the show notes. All of this information will be in the show notes, but it is jenniferrichter.art, and her coupon is for 20% off anything on her site with the coupon code HABITS20. Thank you, Jennifer, again for joining us, and thanks to our listeners for listening to this Habits for Humans podcast. And again, remember to check out our show notes and get all of your free gifts. Thank you in advance for giving us a positive review. Have a wonderful day.